What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Two Lost Office Hours. We are going to get started in just a second. Let me just get situated and make sure that our fam on Instagram can see and hear us. All right, cool. We're good on Instagram. King Tef is going to join us in just a second. He's getting his computer sorted out. Uh, but thanks to everybody that's tapped in. I see TT, the manager, Taneo, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Grayson Ratliff, uh, pro- producer just AJ, Gabby Along, Carlo. Appreciate you joining every week. I always see your name in the chat. This is going to be another great conversation. I've known these cats now for I don't know how many years, bro. How long has it been?
It could have been a decade, man. It could be.
Sheesh.
You know when I
Yeah.
met you actually was when you guys did the documentary release in Colorado.
Oh
I was
wow.
thinking about it.
Yes, that's more than a decade. Then that,
Yeah,
that was probably 2012.
yeah. Time.
Um, so yeah, now I seen how these cats have moved over the years, the different transitions to now being entrepreneurs. We're gonna jump into all that today. It's gonna be a great conversation. We'll wait a second just until Tef gets back on. But a lot of times I like to start these sessions out by just talking about any wins from the past week. So the win could be something small, it could be something bigger. But what are some of your wins from the last week, Hip?
Absolutely. So we had our second show in Arkansas this week, and it's becoming one of our strongest markets. I think we're in about 15 states now. I don't know for sure. I'd have to ask Tef. He's better at the numbers, but we had a really good show in Arkansas, and at the same time had a good show in Arizona,
Mm.
and we're able to do multiple states in one weekend. So I think that's a big win for us. Just seeing the communities build within the artist and having that success. There he is. He's back.
It's
Super.
taking too long to download because it's making me download Chrome.
It's all
Cool.
good. Just letting you know we live right now. We started. So
So
just let you know. Don't say anything crazy. Um, but anyway, let me give these cats a proper intro or allow you guys to introduce yourselves. But Hip, go ahead and start with yourself and then Tef right after that, and then we'll jump into the combo.
So I go by Hypnautic in the music world. Full-time artist for the last 17 years. I'm with the group Top Flight. That's my partner Tef. We kind of did it as a duo during COVID. You know, when the world was transitioning and we were getting too old to keep touring at the rate we were, we decided to build Qoncert, an app that kind of took what we did to become successful. We put it into an app, and now we're about 250 plus shows deep, and we have Qoncert, which allows artists to open, headline, and tour. And
Dope.
yeah, artist, entrepreneur, and just love the independent route and music and culture. So
Good stuff. Good stuff. Tef, little intro real quick.
I'm King Tef. As he said, I'm the other half of Top Flight. We built the app Concert. I'm the CEO of Concert, and so I guess that kind of sums it up because he kind of broke it down himself.
Not hey, it's dope, man. I always tell artists, like, I mean, if we're just being real and honest, like, not every artist can make it as an artist, right? Like, there's just way too many artists out there. However, what I tell artists, if you pursue music the right way, you'll develop so many skills that are transferable to whatever you eventually do, or just a bunch of other things. So I love that you guys obviously have been successful in music. You guys have toured yourself, you do the music thing. But what are some of those transferable skills that you now apply to running or developing an app and running a new kind of business? Like, what was crucial from the artist days that's transferable?
Tef, you want to take this, or you want me to? Is
Tef,
he on?
nah, something happened. He's having some technical
Okay.
difficulties.
So I think one of the biggest skills that we learned is we did a lot of this stuff ourselves. Like the reason why we came together, we were trying to get onto bigger shows in our hometown, and we couldn't get onto these shows for national artists or whatever. And so we ended up coming together and selling out a big venue. Going through the process of like building a process is probably one of the key elements. You know what I mean? Is we had to book our own artists, book our own venue. We had to deal with all the skill sets that come along with that. And over time, you do it enough times, and just building a process and understanding is
Mm-hmm.
probably one of the greatest things I could say that any artist should do, no matter what they're doing. Is like we learned, I mean, some of these things come into play and some of them don't, but I had to learn my own graphics. I sucked at first, but over time, I got pretty good at it. So for a while I'm doing, now with Qoncert, 100 graphics a month. I had to learn my own camera stuff, and so did he. Reaching out to venues, relationships with people. I think relationships is like one of the key. It's one of the top things you could do is just manage these relationships and understand who's in your black book, who you could reach out to at any moment for what type of favor, what type of scenario. You back, Tev?
Yes, sir.
So the question was like the skills that you developed as an artist and your experience as an artist, like which one of those skills or what are some of the skills that are now transferable to you now being a successful app developer, owner of a new business? Like what's been transferable?
Well, I always said being an artist is very similar to like being your own business, because as an artist, it's like a brand that you're selling. So when you understand that you have to go get consumers yourself as an artist, like me looking for my fans, I treat it the same way as if I sold t-shirts and I had to find consumers to buy it. My product, I have to sell the same way with the music. And I think a lot of artists miss that because they get in the game and it's kind of like they just want to be like, someone's going to install that fan base for them, because how the record labels are and everything like that, they kind of just find the talent, then they kind of install that fan base for them, and they think that happens for everybody. But me and Brian couldn't sit around and just wait for it to happen, so we were like, we have to go find our own consumer. So then it becomes easy when I switch to a business, because I had to find consumers the whole time I was just rapping.
Yeah. So a lot of the marketing, a lot of the relationship building. I probably had more interactions with Hip over the years than Tef, but I know you guys both do the networking well. You're very professional. When you say you're gonna do something, you do it. And Hip is always like maintained like consistent, constant communication throughout the years, and we've just kind of built. He just kind of taps in every once in a while. I know when we did the MEC tour in Denver, we got pulled up. So it's just been great knowing you guys and working with you guys over the year, and just being a good person is going to go a long way, whether you're in business or, anything else. So I think, you guys have a lot of positive energy that, surround you guys. That wasn't a question. Obviously, that was just more of a celebration of what you guys do. But so where did the idea for Qoncert start? Like, where you're like, we need to build an app for this. What was the problem that you guys were trying to solve, and you thought you could create an app?
Well, we started to kind of see like, when we first started rapping, we knew that you had to have other artists around you that could do the same thing. That makes it so you can have more shows. So, like for instance, if another group looks as big as you, a lot of people think that's competition, but it actually isn't, because that means I can have one show, they can have one show, and then we can have a third show now. And that's how you start creating an economy that builds around music. The fans actually started believing it because they go like, oh, this looks real. They're doing big venues. They look like the national artists. So as we kept going, it got to a point where we could see that we could put other artists in those same spaces we were. And then that adds more shows and more value, but it also gives more opportunity to these artists that would have never gotten a chance to be in some of these venues. So as we started to get older, we were like, well, what's the next move? And I think he touched on this, it was kind of like, what's the next move? Am I going to keep touring at the same level as before? Or are we going to find something where we can just pick off one-off dates when me and him want to go out, and then build something that helps the community of artists, and then we can have tons of people doing the same thing and moving around. And plus, we see the gap of income in the music industry. It's like you have 30 million artists in the United States, and less than 1% of them make over $40,000. So then when you see that idea, you go like, well, we need to shift this so everyone can have music as a day job. That's what we call it. We don't want to have that situation where people like it's a hobby or you just got to let it go. We want people just like to be like how they are teachers or firemen or any of that. We want artists to be able to have that opportunity to make this their life.
Got you.
Plus, it's like as we were moving along, it's like as an artist, there's a million people that are trying to sell you something every single day, and there was like with talent buyers, there's all these different positions in the music industry that don't necessarily benefit the artist, but they're selling them something. And we kind of seen like there's a way you can really make this a living. And if you can just cut through the weeds of all the BS, you have a lot better chance of success. So we always like, it's like I always respected your relationship because you're someone as like, if as a mentor, or you've actually been successful and helped other artists become successful. So we kind of take that same energy, and it's like I want everyone to be successful. I don't care if they do concerts with us or not, but I like artists. I like seeing artists have wins. So
Yeah.
just give them game. But what's up?
For sure. So who's the ideal person to download and tap in with you guys and use the app? And it's Qoncert with a Q. Spell it for me so I can put it in the chat.
Qoncert.
Is it .com, .app,
You can get the app is on all like all platforms, both types of phones, Androids and iPhone. They just do Qoncert in there. But then if you want to look online, it's concertapp.com.
Concertapp.com. Okay,
it's cool. A free app. Like go on there, create a free profile, and if we're in your city and there's a show coming up, you could look at the city and just select it to be on it. Details pop up. It's real simple to use. We've been built like real little micro communities in all these different states and markets where artists, they work together. It's been beautiful, like what we've seen happen so far. Because we're only Jeff, how long we've been around? 2 years since COVID. 3.
It'll be 3 soon.
Okay. So when I log into the app, I'm assuming I'm an artist. I'm gonna log into the app. I'm gonna see a list of shows that are already set up.
And yes, sir.
That I could potentially be a part of as well. So how do I, like, what do I need to do, or what, do I need to be a certain size? Do I need to sell tickets? Like what do I need to do to potentially be a part of these shows?
So what happens is you go on there, you see the slots that are open in any city, you pick a slot of a show you want to be on, and different slots have different details. So they're based off of it is based off of ticket structure. That's to cover the overhead of the venue, the DJs, the host, all that stuff, the booker, all that. And then after that, they start making money over top. I used the idea and the formula based off when me and him, we used to have to book all our own venues. So if I went into a venue, like for instance, like out here in the Gothic, and I'm paying like $7,000 for it, then I knew I had to sell tons of tickets just for me to break even. In this situation, I'm saying to artists, you do still have to understand that idea, but we're going to lower the total amount of tickets you have to do to a smaller version, just so you can cover what it would be like to for a venue to want to keep bringing you back. Like artists don't understand that they need to bring fans. Like they get paid to bring fans because people want to see them.
Right.
A lot of people think, hey, I get paid to just perform. No, you get paid because people want to see you perform. Totally different concept. You know what I'm saying? So they get the details. It could be like 10 tickets, could be 20 tickets, could be 30 tickets, any of those. And then from that point on, if they agree with the details, they just send their phone number. Brian reaches out to them. We make sure they get their tickets, online link or whatever, and then the show's on. So it's that easy. They just go straight into the show up on Showtime, turn in the money, and keep the money if you go over, and keep some money for yourself, and then perform, and that's it. And then if you do good, you end up going to headliner. If you do good as a headliner, you end up going on tour. Make it that easy.
Okay. One thing I think is important to mention is, like, let's say there's a beginner artist who doesn't have any fans or friends or family that support them, and they sell 0 tickets. They just return the tickets. We don't make people pay to play. We're not chasing artists for money. We're not. We're really trying to give them opportunities. And if they don't sell any tickets, we'll reach out to them, and we do like Monday night Zoom meetings. We have tons of classes, free game we give out all the time to teach artists how to turn a fan into a customer, how to turn family, friends, and how to grow. So no matter where you're at on your journey, we kind of help build you up instead of punish you or talk shit about you or talk bad about you.
So this is like a community that's building. So it's much deeper than just like, hey, I'm trying to get on this show. But what does an artist do to like really be a positive contribution to the overall community? How can I extract the most value? What can I do to pour in to the community? Like, what's the best, like, what do you advise? How do you advise artists to handle themselves? Like, what can they do to be a superstar on the Qoncert app and make sure they progress?
I say like this: if you show up like it's your first day at job, you show up early, you have a good attitude, and you ask lots of questions. I think a lot of artists, they may fall into the entitlement stage sometimes where they feel like they're owed something. I say if you show up and you're just ready to like give it your best, no matter where you're at on the journey, that's where we kind of like, oh, okay, if you're asking questions, I've had artists that show up and they don't really know what to do and they just ask questions and it's easy to guide them. It's really just be attentive, be on point, be on time, treat people with respect, and I think you can go a long way just with those things because you're dealing with soundmen. Soundmen usually deal with terrible artists who are just mean to them, national artists who are just entitled. So it's like if you're treating everyone with lots of respect, other artists, you're showing love. The more love you show to other people, the more love you get back. I think someone who comes in to be a star is just someone who's ready to learn and someone who wants to contribute. The more you give, the more you get. And I think no matter how you take that, just show up. I've had artists, once we do conferences and we tell artists this, I've had like the Grayson Ratliff you mentioned, his first show, he may not have had that many fans. He came to one of our conferences, he took notes, he showed up to another show, sold 50 tickets. Then from that point, he went and got a camera and he's like, hey, how do I hold the camera for other artists? How do I add more value to these other people? And you start building this community and you just start adding to it however you can. It's not really about being the best artist in the world. It's about being the best team player. Sometimes you're on the bench, sometimes you're on the court. And the more times you cheer from the bench with other artists, like artists can become your biggest fan in this game. So if you just, the more you add to other people, the more you get back. And that's really all it is. And, we've had 15, 20 artists tour now where they're doing little 20-day tours just from showing up hungry and ready to learn and asking questions. So
it's unfortunate that a lot of people don't understand that, and they come into it and they really see it as all about them, as opposed to, again, like, what can you contribute? How can you help and support other people? It's unfortunate that a lot of people don't look at it that way. But let's talk about the importance of putting on a good show, because you can do all this work and then you get on stage and maybe you're not ready for the stage, or maybe, what are some of the qualities of a good show? You guys have been performing for a long time. I remember seeing Kanye like back in 2003 when I was living in London at the time, and like it was just him and the stage and he crushed it. You know what I'm saying? How do you ensure that, or present yourself in the best light possible, that you connect with some of the people that didn't come there for you? Like, what are your suggestions for a good live show?
I think the show starts when you enter the building. I don't think it's just like you're on stage, that's your moment, and that's it. When I used to go to shows, me and Tef would be touring in these little markets, and we'd go do places where no one knew us. So I would make sure I talked to every single person in that venue, introduce myself. At the time, I'd collect phone numbers. That's one way we got to our first 1,000 fans, is I'd collect everyone's phone number. I would give away merch. I would sign posters. I would make a big deal about the moment. I make people feel good. It's just, and if you lead into the show this way, so you're at a venue, you're there early, you're talking to everybody who's there, whether they want to see you or not. If they feel like a connection with you, they're going to stay for your performance. Sometimes performing, it used to be like when we came up, it was like you have to perform without your lyrics. You have to really be the art of the MC and this and this. Nowadays, it's really like you have to have good entertainment. You have to have good energy. I've seen people that I normally wouldn't have been like, this is my favorite performer, captivate the crowd way more just from having good energy, getting hyped, taking their shirt off, doing whatever they do to like create this energy. So I think it's like being a good person, and then the work starts the second you get in there. The work starts weeks before you even enter the building. You're out there, you're networking with people online, you're doing all this, you're kind of setting the stage. That 10, 20, 30 minutes you're on stage. I remember I had a mentor that used to help Jelly Roll and Haystack and all these guys. And he was like, these guys would tour this region and they're doing shows with 10 other people on the bill with them. And it's like, how do you outshine everybody? And it's just really like, do you have an idea for your set? Do you want to go above and beyond? It's like, come up with things that are entertaining, with things that captivate people. And that could look like, at this time, I'm going to get my hands up. At this time, I'm going to do a callback. At this time, all these things add to it. But really, it's just the second you get into that building as an independent artist, whether there's two people in the show or not, you have to either have some level of mystique like Kanye did, and Kanye really believes in what he does, and he's you can tell when someone cares about what they do on stage and someone doesn't. And it's there's like an energy to it, I guess, you know? It's
Yeah.
take it serious.
Yeah. Nah, do you guys ever give feedback to art? Like say, you know, hey, this artist, they did everything right in terms of like before the show, after the show, but the show wasn't as polished. Do you guys ever give any feedback to some of the artists?
Absolutely. I probably give too much feedback, to be honest. Tef, what do you say? I
Yeah,
love to give advice.
I give advice all the time because you try to figure out like what type of artist this person is. Some people aren't the hey, I'm just gonna rap the best bars and then I can stand up there and just kill them with like acapellas and stuff. Some people might be more like a I'm just a dude that gets the crowd hype and I'm gonna jump around all night. So you try to help them get into that place where they understand what type of artist they are and
Mhm.
how they should what's gonna make the crowd attached to them because it has to connect at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't get up there and be this type of rapper like a trap rapper and then you're trying to be the bar rapper that just stands in the middle of the stage and it's gonna go a cappella. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta figure out like what is that space for you, what's that look for you, and what people are gonna go like, oh, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I always try to help them at the end of the night to kind of go like, yo, if you add this, this will work for you.
I
Yeah.
mean, we're dealing with artists from their first time performance ever to some that are well polished and just trying to get to the next level. We have like Live Nation, AG, these big people promoters calling us all the time, like, hey, I have this artist touring in town. Do you have an artist that would fit this bill? So everyone's at a different stage. And yeah, I think it's being, we don't lead with our ego in this. It's really like you can show up and forget all your lyrics, and I'm going to tell you, okay, you should practice like this. You should run while you're performing to keep your energy up, your breath up. Everyone has different levels of feedback, but I think it's important to uplift these artists. Sometimes it's confidence. If you can just give someone some confidence, music
Mhm.
saved my life. So I like to give that same feedback back to them, where it's like this is possible, but you may need to step it up a little bit in these areas.
Yeah. Hey, what was your guys' first show like? You remember?
Oh yeah.
What what was it like? Did you guys come out the gate killing it, or did you have like
Well,
Tef,
my
you may have a better experience than me, but
neither me or him, we weren't together as our first time like
okay.
performing. So I used to actually tour around imitating Michael Jackson back in the day. And so I had done performances like that. So then when I finally started rapping, um I had I was going to I was in college at the time and I set up a show where I had all the students could go to it, everything like that. So it was actually a packed show because I'm on the college campus. So then it was kind of like it was dope, you know what I'm saying? And I already knew how to perform. So it was like my first show was kind of like a fluke type show, I guess you could kind of say.
Okay, but you felt comfortable. But since you had done a lot of, you know, Michael Jackson performances, you probably felt just a little bit more comfortable on stage. Because a lot of cats, like, they don't understand, like, and they get up there, the adrenaline takes over. They might forget their words. They might
Mhm.
the only thing that they resort to is like throw your hands in the air. You can't just keep telling the crowd to throw your hands in the air. You know, you can
Yep.
only pull that card a few times before it's like, all right, we throwing our hands in the air. What else you got? You know what I mean? So Hip, what about you? What your first performance?
so I way back in the day, I started more as a hype man. So I was nervous, could barely spit my stuff. At the time when I first started, I had my lyrics on it, couldn't keep up with it, no idea what I was doing. I had big crowds because when you first start, I had like a lot of friends and I kind of hustled a little bit. So I had a lot of people around me. My first 5, 10 shows, I was really just trying to figure it out. I was more like I had a couple verses here and there, but I learned how to be a hype man first. So I was able to learn how to talk to people during in the middle of the songs better than I was actual performer. It took me a lot of times to figure it out. But yeah, my first show was had a lot of people at it, but it was terrible. When I look back at it, it's embarrassing. But I hear Dave Chappelle and these people say now is like they work a million small rooms before they get to a Netflix special. And I
Yeah.
think that's just like I think there's nothing better advice than that. Just keep going. I used to do open mic nights. I'd go to open mic nights and perform my original songs. And I think that really helped me connect with people. I think when you're trying to connect with people you don't know, you learn quicker than when you try to connect with people you know, because you have a bunch of hype men and yes men around you when you're first starting off, and everyone's just so excited that you can't tell if you're good or bad. You just get caught up in the moment. But it's really like perform in front of people you don't know if you want to get better quick.
Yeah. I feel like the hype man is a lost art.
Oh yeah.
Like the real hype man, like the person that doesn't want to be Busta, he wants to be Spliff. He's perfect in that role. He accentuates like everything that Busta does, fills in the gaps, like has the chemistry, is like, oh, he's kind of tired right now. I know this is why I need to give him a breather. You know, is there any like people that really like perform the hype man? Like, when's the last time you saw like a younger artist with like a really dope hype man?
I haven't. A lot of artists want to bring their best friends on stage when their best friends haven't. They just stand there and nod their heads, or they get excited with them. I think DJs are great. If you have an old school DJ, usually an old school DJ can be a great hype man. They know when to, you know, if they know your music. I don't see it that often. I rarely ever see it anymore, to be honest with you. I don't see there's not a lot of hosts. There's not a lot of hype men. There are some, so I don't want to discredit them, but I don't see it the way I used to. When we came up, that was an art. That was just as important or more important than anyone else, because they set the stage, you know?
Yeah.
When I first started, I actually had a hype man that was on the stage with me the whole time for a long, even all the way up and through Top Flight. Like, and my best friend, he would just be on stage being a hype man. He knew the parts of the songs, everything like that. He danced, everything.
Yeah, and he looked like 50 Cent at first.
He did.
It's weird and big.
No, because when we started, my brother kind of started as like Hop's hype man in the beginning, and like their chemistry was just great out the gate. That was one of the reasons that their show stood out. You know, these days, you know, if you're an artist, like a lot of people will tell you like touring is your bread and butter. I'm seeing artists now that, you know, they have other revenue streams. Like touring is not essential. However, if you want to build a long-term career and you want to be on the road, like you have to put on a good show. Like it's crucial that you have to get to a point where people want to come back and see you. So if you don't graduate to a point where your show is actually something that people want to see, it's going to be hard for that to be a part of your business long term.
There's no better connection than human connection, you know? And I think there's something magical about when you're on stage and you connect with people that way. The problem is that there's just so much noise now that you have to do more work than just get on stage and put on a great show, because you could go get on stage, put on a great show, and then there's 5 or 10 people before or after you who shift your mindset or wear you out, or, you know. So I think it's, you have to perform, but a lot of things people miss is like sponsorships. We've killed it in sponsorships. You can make so much money just from connecting with local businesses or bigger businesses, and I think that's one thing.
Talk about that. What's an example of a local sponsor that you guys have worked with that have helped contribute to the show? Give us a concrete example of this.
I'll give a couple. So when we were back in the days when we were moving full time, like I wrote down on a piece of paper, and this is going to sound bigger than it's going to sound unrealistic, but it was just as simple. I wrote down on a piece of paper, I'm like, I want to have a tour van that's wrapped. This is back when CDs, I was like, I want to have 10,000 CDs and 1,000 shirts to give off. We had like 6 big shows coming up. I went into just local car dealerships. I started there, and I had a guy connect me with one, and I went in and I was like, hey, if you give me a free van for a year or 2 years, I'll do A, B, and C, D for you. We ended up getting a free tour van, CDs. I put ads on the CDs promoting the tour van or the car dealership. We had free t-shirts. It's as simple as any local business. We've had, so I don't know if I was kind of scattered on that one, but like I've gotten as big as like free tour vans, thousands of CDs, hundreds of thousands of dollars from sponsors. But it could be as simple as like your local nail salon. It could be your local dispensary. It could be any of these businesses that advertise on the radio and local magazines. Me and Tef used to walk around, and we would just go into those little like, you know, where you have like 20 different businesses in a little area, and we would just walk in door to door and just be like, hey, who runs your marketing department? Hey, we're local artists. We have a show coming up. It's going to have 300 people there. You could set up a booth here. We're going to put some tickets in here and send fans your way. If you just do this, it's the power of numbers. If you hit up 100 people, you're going to get 20, and at least 5 will land. We got so good at it at one point, like we were like landing like 50% of our sponsors we were hitting, and this was helping fund a majority of our career. So
Dope.
And the one thing I want just artists to know about that is this is why it's important to sell tickets and actually know who your fans are, because it's hard to sell to a sponsor if you don't have an actual fan base. So I have to be able to say, hey, I'm gonna put 500 or 1,000 people in this room, and then a sponsor will be like, oh, well then I need to be a part of this because this kid really does bring 500 people that are around my local business. And see, then you have the demographic and everything because you understand all these people are next to this person's business. So these are the consumers that they want. So this is why it's important to know who all your fans are and stuff like that. And it's just kind of like it's a way. It got so crazy with us at one point that we actually had to build a marketing business separate from Top Flight so we could take the checks through that versus it going through Top Flight. So we had a separate LLC from Top Flight, and then we would pay ourselves through that transaction.
Dope. No, I think it's what you guys talked about is just getting creative. A lot of people think sponsorship has to be like a direct payment, right? You know, you talked about getting a van, having them maybe purchase the CDs, because some people might think, oh, you're just trying to get money from us. It's like, no, well, let's create a product that we can use on the road. We put your branding on the product, and you'll see that either you can pay for it directly or you can give us the bread, we can pay for it. Like, just get creative. To make it a much, and again, it's not about the money either. It's about creating like a better experience for your fans, right? Because now if you have CDs or free shirts to give away and things like that, it's a better experience than just coming to a show that, it might just be without that merchandise. So
anything, like, people love free stuff. They love free clothes. If you're ever an artist and you get on stage and you're like, who wants some free shirts? That's one way that I've seen, and it kind of gets worn out. But it's like that's one way that everyone will rush to the front of the stage if you're giving free stuff away. So
man, we just did Game from the Gods, and we had Mackie as a sponsor. They didn't give us any money, but they gave us a bunch of products. So we were giving away mixers, we were giving away mics, so people were going crazy for it, because those are really, those are expensive prizes, $200, $300, $400 prizes. And I was actually just on a call with them earlier. They were really happy with how things went, and we're talking about how we can keep this going. So keeping that relationship, ensuring that you understand like what the sponsor kind of wants out of the experience, and then once you execute, circling back and just showing them that you over delivered, so that you can get the van the next time, you can get more shirts the next time, you get more CDs. Just that. Do you have any talk about the importance of just like maintaining those healthy relationships and ensuring that you're delivered?
I say one thing that's key for every artist to do is carry a camera or your phone and capture every single moment. Now, if someone sponsors you and you build a story around it, that's what they love to see. Like, we would get sponsors. We would get, like, one time a dispensary sponsored us. So I'd give 20 people free product, and I would make sure that they film that, and they would create an experience around that and post it. It's really about capturing a moment, building something creative or cool out of it, and really overproducing, overshowing it to these sponsors. People love to see, because a lot of times people give money and don't see anything. You could have 1,000 people have a great time, but if it's not captured on a camera, no one's going to believe it. So it's really and it's also guiding people to tell them what to do and what you need out of it. If I'm giving away, like if I'm at a venue and I'm trying to collect 100 phone numbers of potential new fans, everybody that gives, I have to tell them, like, yo, hit up this sponsor. If I'm giving something away, like, you kind of have to guide people and tell them what you need out of it for them to get something free. But it's just being excited about it and transparent about it, like what you need.
Yeah.
Capture every moment, because a lot of people miss out on the moment, or miss out on the, and following up with sponsors. A lot of times follow up is crucial. Just hitting someone and saying thank you.
Yep, for sure. And letting them know, like, we just did the recap call literally 2 hours ago with Mackie, and just kind of letting them know. We sent them a bunch of content, but we also, just kind of filled them in from our perspective on what we did that we thought was really dope, things that they may not have seen in the content, things that we think we can do better, confirming with them that we hit the mark, or hopefully, exceeded the mark. But yeah, just circling back and having that conversation afterwards is crucial. I see Braylon.
Let's get Colorado on that tour. I've been telling you, man.
We're definitely coming to Colorado at some point next year for sure. the winter's coming up, and I'm not coming to Colorado when it's cold.
Yeah,
So.
it's actually just started snowing today. So
Yeah, I'm good on that. Let's see. Braylon Clark asked, "Will this video still be up afterwards?" Yes, all of our office hour sessions, as soon as they're done, they're available in their entirety on YouTube. We're actually also turning this into a podcast, so it won't be up right away, but hopefully later this week, this episode will be on Spotify as well. So you'll be able to get not only this episode, but the episodes of past weeks, of prior weeks, and on Spotify and YouTube. So if you have any questions about the Qoncert app, feel free to type them in the comments. We'll try to address them as I see them. So if you're on YouTube, Twitch, the only comments I don't see are the ones that are on Instagram. So apologies for that. Although I could let me just watch it from here as well. I'll try to catch some questions on Instagram. So what cities is Qoncert in at the moment?
Jeff, you want to run that down?
Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, Oregon, Washington, California, New Mexico, Texas, Arkansas,
Idaho,
New Jersey, North Carolina, and New York and Idaho.
Dope. I didn't know you were in. So in LA, you guys are in LA? In Cali?
Well, we're about to be
Vallejo.
well, we have a show in Vallejo and San Diego. So haven't done LA yet.
Okay, dope. Well, yeah, I think it's I really think it's dope that it's a lot of markets that aren't like your major markets. Like I like that you're in Wyoming, like because a lot of these, that's how we built a lot of our fan base in the early days, is like hitting markets that a lot of the bigger artists like don't even go to. They kind of fly over those cities. But that's where you build some of the most strongest connections with folks, because they really get to see you live and in person. Like Hip said, like it's a really performing live is a really a dope way to connect with people. And if you're doing everything you need to do before and after the show, hanging out, getting information, those cities are the greatest. I love Denver. I mean, Denver's a big city. That's not a good example.
A lot of people don't know is you can go 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours and hit like, I think we have 12 different spots in Colorado you can hit. So you could build a tour in your own hometown. In Arizona, there's Tucson, there's Scottsdale, there's all these different areas. And Utah, we have, so every state we're in, there's multiple markets that are close to there. And I think it's like these little markets, a lot of artists get so stuck in being the king of their hometown. Like I'm the king of Denver or wherever they're from. But if you just look an hour outside of that, 2 hours outside of that, you can find so much more. It's like Wendy Day used to say, go 5 hours in every direction. I say these days, we built this where it's like you can go 8 hours in every direction. You can hit 30 different spots and build a whole entire career, make 100 grand a year pretty easily if you just start slow, build it up, keep track of who you're talking to, and start tapping into all those revenue streams.
So is there an artist that you'd like to highlight that's been crushing it on the app, that's doing everything right and has been expanding on the app? Like, is there somebody that you think is a shining star on the Qoncert app?
There's a couple. I hate saying names because then so many people get like hurt, but there are a few. Tev, you want to name a couple? I name a couple.
I keep it real. If you're working, you're working. You got J-Dub the Ruler. He's one of the dudes that's
shout out. Wait, you said J-Dub the Ruler?
Yeah.
Shout out J-Dub the Ruler.
Grayson Ratliff, of course.
Okay.
Hash got bars.
Oh, they're in here. Is that the Hash that's in here? I think it's this is.
It could be Hash with a dollar. Yep, that's Hash right there.
What's going on, Hash? There we go.
He's one of the first ones that did a full tour. Him and J-Dub did one of the full tours. He's one of the ones. He was an indie pop artist who we started putting on rap shows at first. Because at first we only knew the rap circuit, but now we've expanded to bands and R&B and all, country and all this other stuff. But at the beginning, we would just put him on, like we put him on an Afro Man show. We put him on a bunch of local shows, and he was just crushing it because it was like we kind of build our shows like Spotify playlists, where it's like you're not just going to get everything the same. You're going to have a little mixture, and it's been working great. So there's a handful. There's Tybo.
Yeah.
What else you say? There's probably about there's a lot that I'm not thinking about right off top.
Yeah.
But,
so I was going to ask you about the genres, and you mentioned it. At first you only did the rap shows. Like, is there a difference from your perspective, like rap show versus maybe a pop or a country show? Like what would the difference be in your eyes?
Setup. Bands, when you go bands, you got a different setup, right? You need a little bit more. You can't do as many bands on a show. You can may have like 2, 4. You have to backline a lot of stuff. I think it's I mean, the setup is just really like sometimes the vibes. You know what I mean? When it's just straight hardcore rap, sometimes those crowds, like depending if they build good community, those shows stick around and everyone just has a great time the whole night. I'd say it's just really the setup. The difference is the setup. I think I love to see it. Like what we really empower in our app is connecting people with each other. Is like having a rap group connect with this R&B singer, connecting with maybe these instruments. And if you kind of put these little elements together, you can build way better show. I mean, that's how even me and Tef started. Is we were able to like we sounded completely different. We're from different cities. I was from Denver. He's from Springs. And when we put our fan bases together and our efforts together, he was dancing. I couldn't move to beat no matter what. So I just started like, mosh pitting or stage diving. But like putting different people together, different elements adds a lot to the show. You got guitar players syncing up with rap artists, and it just adds more entertainment.
For sure.
But the difference of setup is just setup, really.
Got you. You cats are too tall to be stage diving, and you too
I
old.
told him that. And he stage dived. He was about like 220 at one time, 230 or something.
Yeah,
I told him, I was like, we seen like he seen Tory Lanez, and Tory Lanez small, and so you seen Tory do it. And I was like, yeah, ain't no way, you 6'3", like 6'2", 200 something pounds, ain't no way.
Did you ever get? I've seen a few cats get dropped. Did you ever get dropped, Hip?
Almost. Like we had some crazy. One time I jumped. My first time I ever jumped, it was jam packed, so they couldn't even drop me. There wasn't enough room to drop me. It was like everyone was jam packed, but there was a security guard or somebody that was kind of blocking from the stage and the rails, and I think he almost broke his leg or something crazy happened just because it pushed forward.
He tried to put his leg in the barricade to hold it up, and it broke his leg.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Like you get to a certain point, they'll come after you legally. You liable for that stuff. So you gotta be careful.
This was the wild west days. Nowadays, I don't move the same way I used to. But
when I would mention that, of course, they don't want to hear about the liability and the thing like we just want to rock out how we rock out. It's like, hey, within reason, especially as your business becomes a little bit more valuable, cats, looking for what reasons to sue these days.
Yeah.
What about the experience? Do you guys do anything like specifically for the attendees to make it a concert experience? Is there any thought around like, because I know sometimes when you go to shows like this, I bring out my fans, they bring out their fans, everybody brings out their fans, and then once they perform, their fans might take off, so that is there anything that you can do to protect against that? Like what's the fan experience like?
There's sometimes we can curate the moment a little bit better, and this has to do with the venue space, and sometimes who are the artists. Like sometimes we get a headliner who is just super active with the community of artists. When everyone gets together ahead of the show, it makes it for a better experience for everybody. We do as much as we can. Like I give them advice, like, hey, if you connect with everybody, if you do these things, this helps. But it's 50-50. Sometimes people just want to show up and leave. But a lot of times when to get the best shows where people stay the whole night is it's usually the venue location. If it's not the bigger, sometimes if you do it, if we're in the smaller rooms, the 300 cap rooms, or it's like a little bit more elegant of a venue, people stick around more. We've had like suit and tie events, private events, shows in like, what is it, fashion or art galleries, depending on where it's at. It doesn't always happen, but when it does, there's something special about it.
Sometimes you can mix and match and do like co-headliners, and if they sound similar and are in a similar vibe, a lot of times the other person's people will stay because they notice that both of them respect each other at that level. So you can do things like that, and then we also send out emails to some of the people who purchase tickets to see what they liked and everything like that, and would they go to another show with a different artist, etc.
Yeah.
Our app helps curate the shows, so we kind of we know what shows go together to make it the best experience. And we're always fine tuning it and learning from our community. Like they'll tell us what they like and don't like. So we just pay attention and really pay attention and really implement the suggestions.
Yeah. And if you're an artist that's performing, if I was performing, I would probably say something at the end to kind of encourage my crowd to stick around. Hopefully that helps a bit because you typically have some pull with your fans. I mean, if the next person gets on and bombs, obviously people aren't going to stick around. But at least give that next artist 1-2 minute chance to kind of see if they're going to stick around. So if you're an artist, I would probably throw that in there, just to again help build up the community and get everybody some time to get some exposure.
It's the odd thing is like sometimes you get these artists who their only people they're bringing is their parents, right? They may bring their parents, their aunts, or uncles, which is real dope at first, but you got about 5 shows where you got your friends and family showing up. Sometimes it's hard to keep them throughout the night. You know what I mean? They just want to
Right.
they just want to support their kid and leave. That's why it's so important to build outside of your friends and family. Like that's the best advice I could give is just be a human being, reach out to people, and the more you connect with people who you don't know personally, those types of fans stay all night. They love it. They have a great experience just because they love music. They're there because they're a fan, not because they're obligations,
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for over a decade. You need fans, not friends. Don't stress your actual friendships and your own family out, because you're getting mad because they're not supporting your stuff. They can't be the only supporters forever. You need actual fans that support your career. Let's see. Alexi suggests, he said maybe the artists could do a song together during the second artist set to keep those fans. Yeah, that'd be
That's
great.
dope.
Yeah.
We always encourage that. I mean, that's one of the best things is like if you're open to collaboration, the world can open up for you. And it's collaborating not just with the artist, but the camera people, collaborating with the DJ. The more time attentive you take into your set and build with other people, the better it is.
Yeah, I mean, I continue to say, of course, artists collaborate here and there, but I don't think independent artists collaborate enough. There's
No.
no, there's no better cosign than another artist like introducing you to their fans, like with their cosign. There's so much trust that you guys already built. Like Top Flight Empire already has the trust of so many people. If you introduce Lexi, for example, to your fans, like they would at least give her a shot.
Absolutely.
It's such a great. I can't think of any stronger promo than that.
I think it's one thing. One word of advice I could give to artists though is like put your emotions into the music, not into the business. So if you're reaching out to artists to collaborate and they don't answer you, they leave you on red, they don't buy a ticket to your show, just leave it and move on because a lot of people can damage their career by emotionally speaking publicly if someone doesn't do what they think they're deserved, So I think it's really important just to be a good person and if they don't like you, move on and there's always somebody else.
And that's a bar right there. Put your emotions into the music, not into the business. Man, so many people need to hear that. Somebody needs to tattoo that on their forehead because all right, so we got a few minutes left. What haven't we talked about on the Qoncert app or what people should know about it? Yeah, is there anything that we haven't touched on that we think is important?
I mean, if you get onto the Qoncert app, it's free. You can select shows in any market. We're still at our beginning stages, so you have direct access to me and Tef to get as much game as possible. I spend all day, every day just talking to artists and helping build them up because if you don't work, this doesn't work. So really take advantage of this moment because there's going to be a time when we're not going to have so much time to be, it's like to help build you up and make you better. And really, I'm not trying to tell artists how to do music or anything like that. But I'm telling you how to skip steps and how to navigate and how to grow quicker. So take advantage of the app. You can create free flyers. There's no cost. And the only expectation is you put your best foot forward and we still give you second chances sometimes if you don't, so.
Yeah. So Tef, anything from your perspective that we haven't touched on it's crucial?
Well, I just feel like this is the new, I like to call it the new music industry, like where artists can take control of their own career. And I just want to give that opportunity to artists so they can control their own career versus waiting on some situation that may happen, may not happen. And even if you get on to something bigger like a label, it always doesn't work, as we see for a lot of artists, you know. So if you're passionate about music, which me and Hip were, we wanted it just to be our day job. Like, we really didn't care about the fame. My brother passed away, so that's actually the only reason why I rap. So I didn't really get into it like I need fame or anything like that. I loved it because of my brother, and then I found out how to make money making my day job. So I just really want to give that opportunity to artists to make music a day job and live off of it and control their own situation versus always just waiting on someone else to help them. Just sell your own product like you would if you build a business today. You wouldn't wait for Walmart to put you on. You'd start selling it right now and getting it popping and finding those consumers. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Time is way more important than money. And I think a lot of artists are sold something every day. And that's, Dame, that's why I appreciate you, is I've hit you up for advice for years and you've never tried to sell me a thing. You just gave me real advice. And a lot of that advice was do the work, be real, and stay consistent. But that's sometimes what the reminders we need is just your time that you put in is going to outvalue any dollars you spend on ads or all that stuff comes later and it's good, but it's the time you put into everything, the time you put into performing, the time you put into marketing, in every aspect of what you're trying to do, put time into it. And
Yeah.
I think you'll be successful.
Yeah, no, the time is crucial because I remember before we had a booking agent, like I booked our first tour and I spent a lot of time like trying to make that happen. It sounds like you guys kind of have an infrastructure. Like should this have been available to me, 12, 14 years ago, however long it was ago now, like I feel like I could have saved a lot of time because it seems like you guys have the relationships with the venues and there's an infrastructure and a framework where I could potentially like use the Qoncert app as opposed to like trying to figure things out on my own, So if some artists have a little, maybe they don't have a booking agent yet, but they have they have fans in different markets, it seems like the Qoncert app could be a great resource or tool for them.
It's crazy because we were doing this when I met you 12 so years ago. That's how we got that venue for Hobson. You didn't even know I was connected, but it's like having these relationships, it's easy to make things happen. And I think there's going to be a lot of bigger artists that jump onto this. And we've helped some out already, but I think this is the pathway where you don't have to deal with booking agents. I mean, they're good in some aspects, but not everybody has access to them either. So.
Yeah. Dope. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Again, you go to QoncertApp.com. That's Qoncert with a Q. So QONCERT app.com. Where can they find you guys at?
You can find us. Our group is Top Flight Empire, TOPFLITEEMPIRE. So flight is FLITE because a lot of people end up putting the FLIGHT, but it's FLITE.
I'll do that.
And then of course I'm King Tef, and so I'm just anywhere where KINGTEF, and Hypnautic is Hypnautic pretty much everywhere.
HYPNAUTICLIFE. We're easy to find. Really.
Is it spelled differently on Twitter? Did I tag the wrong person?
You probably did.
God damn it.
I don't even use Twitter. I need to get on Twitter. I don't know. It's too many social medias to keep up with them all.
But it's crazy because his name was Brian too. So I just quickly, as I was posting this one, I was like, oh, that gotta be him. All right, maybe just the way you spelled it was taken. I didn't know. Anyway, my bad. We'll repost
Brian's not existing on anywhere until Facebook forced me into it. So hey, Dame, I appreciate you taking the time today, man. I love catching up. Next time we'll have to catch up on more revenue streams for artists. I want to ask questions about Two Lost. So anybody that follows us, check out Two Lost. I've been telling a lot of people about it. So thank you again.
Dope. No, we'll definitely continue the conversation. We'll figure out how and when to bring Game from the Gods to Denver and maybe some other cities you guys are connected to.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this has been another great conversation. Join us every Monday at 12 for Two Lost Office Hours. We have conversations just like this to help you guys advance your business, help you build your business as artists, producers, and managers. Until next time, we'll see y'all. Peace.
Peace.